Many have searched for the truth on the mysteries of our world. But in reality, there are no mysteries, only a lack of information. These are the unveiled mysteries of light.
I am here with you. My name is Morganal. I'm always trying to shed light on apparent mysteries that don't exist, and always with the biggest conceptual clarity possible, in order to transmit it to the vessel, so that he can translate it into the spoken language with the lowest possible amount of inconveniences, and that is simple and easy. I have always thought that the messages should be spread with respect. There are messages that are new paradigms, that completely change different beliefs. There are messages of encouragement, there are messages of orientation, and there are messages that directly unveil alleged mysteries. All of them must be spread with the utmost respect for others, the one who would be called your neighbor and your planet. What we are looking for is not being infallible, because the only one who is infallible is our Creator. We have questioned the origin of the Creator with respect, and the same Father is infinite and has no beginning or end. When one speaks of omnipresence, it is spoken of the omnipresence inside his own manifestation. Like me as a spirit, I'm omnipresent in my own conceptual energy, and I'm going to communicate with another spirit who is going to have another conceptual energy. Then, I will be an omnipresence contained by myself. God, as you call him, is omnipresence, contained inside himself, as an absolutely incommensurable entity, but no longer an infinite entity, as it was thought before, and not omnipresent in the infinitude sense, as it was thought. Also, it was thought that God was omniscient, and I understand humbly that he is omniscient inside his finitude, and it's a pun for many of you, where it was spoken that the Absolute was also an eternal present. It's also something debatable, because in fact it's an entity that is manifested. He is manifested and he stops being manifested over and over again. He has left the label of eternal present. I say this with the utmost and absolute respect to the demiurge and to Ian, since the demiurge never stops being manifested. Then, when one speaks about the Absolute, one also finds that there is a conceptual mistake, because Ian is absolute inside his own manifestation. He is absolute inside himself, contained. It happens that our conceptual field, and I say this without ego because obviously I don't have it, I simply express it with total humility, and he is far superior to your field understanding. We don't use the concept of absolute, neither the concept of everything in our thought, and you do use it in your vocabulary because it is necessary for you to use it. Then, what is finite cannot be absolute, and it cannot be the everything something which is contained in something, although that something is called nothingness, because it would be a limited everything. We don't have that expression in our concept, but you do have it because you need that expression, because it would form like a kind of paradox. Limited everything does not exist. There are many incarnated beings that have played games with that kind of wordplay, the complete nothingness, the immense vacuum, the bright darkness, the lightness of the dense. They are puns, oxymorons that have been made in your creative games, but you all don't stop being slaves of your words when being incarnated, because it is like that. Then we'll keep saying the Absolute, and we'll keep saying the everything to the creation, because somehow it is necessary to call them in some way, knowing that something that is contained is not everything, something that is expanding, because a true everything doesn't expand to begin with, and a true omniscient absolute doesn't evolve. What is omniscient cannot evolve. If you told me the infinite grows, I would say, inside what does it grow? In which direction does it grow? And don't come to me with mathematical abstract formulas, like some of your books where they speak about an infinite array. Aside, they have another infinite array, and there are two infinites. Here I am not speaking about something abstract. Here I am speaking of something concrete, real, a deep thing, and the concrete thing is that there is an enormous creation which is not to be despised. Only think those of you who don't have the minimum notion of astronomy, that if the spaceship left from Proxima Centauri traveling to Sun 3, with your technology, the technology of Sun 3, it would take more time than the time since the first Homo sapiens walked on the Earth until now. Then, we are speaking of 4.25 light years of distance, which is the time the light takes to arrive from the Sun to Proxima Centauri. Let us think that only our galaxy, the one that contains us, has 100,000 light years, and that we have at almost a couple of millions light years away another galaxy, 1.5 times bigger than our galaxy, which you have named Andromeda. There are more galaxies that are closer. There is a cluster of galaxies, which is 30 million light years away, and there are other cluster galaxies that form superclusters that can occupy from 200 to 300 million light years in distance. And there are dispersed galaxies that are at billions of light years from us. So that you understand me, I am referring to billions of light years. For that reason, I say that the cosmos is finite and it's expanding. Don't take it conceptually like something small, because if you, with your current spaceships, with your best technology, it would take thousands of years to hardly arrive 4 light years away. I say it so that you realize how isolated each stellar system is. Our stellar system, the solar system, as you call to the central star, is from tip to tip 30 to 35 light hours, 15 to 16 hours from the central sun to the last planet, and we are speaking of light years to the closer stellar system. Then, do not have the concept that the universe is small. It is huge. However, there are at billions of light years away, similar galaxies to our galaxy with stars also of last generation, or penultimate stars, stellar systems that can have suns that can also have planets from 2 to 3 billion years of antiquity. There can be planets that have life as Sun 3 has, and they are only on the edge of what the well-known universe is, the edge of what the creation is. And I have grasped the concept in this vessel, who kindly channels me, and it is a topic to be approached shortly because we know that there are some civilizations closer to that border of the universe. It is not the same if a spiritual entity narrates impersonally about a primordial being, but through this vessel that person could narrate what he is living at this present time too, as if he were alive, what he feels, what he observes, what happens, if they have devices similar to telescopes, radars, or another type of artifacts what technology they use. But in addition, if they have had contact somehow with what we have called primordial beings, because why wouldn't there be life in the border of the expanding universe? Why not? That was something I wanted to comment on, and it is a topic that, as well as this vessel is very interested, my brother Jonathan and I are also interested, and it is truly a topic that we want to approach very soon.
Very well, Morgano. You have already informed us that at the present time there are 25 extraterrestrial bases on our planet, and you have told us that from 5 of the most important alien bases, one of them is located in Patagonia, Argentina. Could you give us with some precision the geographical localization of the extraterrestrial base located in Patagonia, Argentina?
There is a town, which is called Zapala, where the base is exactly at 600 kilometers away. If traveled in a straight line toward the south, it is 600 kilometers from that location at an angle of 20 masculine ordinal degrees to the east. There is an underground base there.
Is that underground base very deep?
It is an underground base, which is approximately 1,000 meters below the surface.
Do you know where these extraterrestrial beings come from?
They are from a system of a red supergiant star that you know as Betelgeuse.
How many aliens are there in that base?
Approximately a community of 2,000 beings working. They are of the race of gray beings.
How long have they been settled down there?
Even before the beings from Europe arrived to America, we are speaking of almost 1 millennium ago, yes, in the neighboring region to the establishment at the south of Zapala, in your country Argentina, behind a mountain range, in another region you call Chile, there is another extraterrestrial base of beings totally different. They are very similar to the Homo sapiens sapiens, but taller and blonde. Many times they have been sighted and they have not concealed their extraterrestrial origin. They have said that they belong to the star Orion, although in fact there is not a star called Orion because the star is Rigel. What happens is that a lot of people have a minimal knowledge of astronomy. In fact, they are not from Rigel. When I speak of the firmament, I say it in language as if I were a native terrestrial at this time, of what is known, and Orion is very well known, and a lot of people confuse Orion with a star, which in fact is Rigel. The answer is that they are not from there.
Aren't they from Rigel either?
No, they are from the constellation called Centaur from a star called Aegina, which is 390 light years away. They hint their origin as if the natives from Sun 3 would invade them when they didn't even have propeller-driven aircrafts to fly. They hardly had ships to sail.
Yes, there is a huge difference
between these two races. to which we would call the slender blondes and the grays who were established at the south of Zapala, there was at the beginning cooperation. There was not any zeal of technology and meanness, since the distance between their stellar systems is considerable and because many beings you know as aliens take the proximity into account. For the human being from Earth with your technology, as I said at the beginning, to travel 4 light years with your ships, it would take dozens of thousands of years, but for them it isn't so. But it is not the same thing to compete technologically in a hypothetical conflict with a neighbor system, which is at 6 light years light, than to compete with a civilization at 200 or 300 light years, because it is very difficult that these civilizations interact with each other.
Morganell, do you know what kind of investigation are these alien beings carrying out? I mean to those that are at the south of Zapala.
Geological research.
Geological research, nothing else? Is there some scientific team from Sun 3 collaborating with them?
Yes. Not from the local region, although the answer is yes for the region of the country of the north.
Do you mean Americans?
Yes, correct.
Are they collaborating with these extraterrestrial from Betelgeuse?
Yes.
And with the aliens from Agena Centaur?
No.
Only with those aliens from Betelgeuse?
Yes. Underground the region called Argentina, there is an exchange agreement in place that they have directly with these extraterrestrials, where if they can offer them certain technology in exchange of complicity, in exchange of silence. There are many American farmers that have bought many lands in the south of the region called Argentina, and sometimes it is even suspicious that they don't allow people to traffic through their rivers. They have everything fenced with surveillance, suspiciously, and nobody says anything because those are fields and rivers that have been sold legally with everything.
But these farmers, I would say, they are military personnel, maybe Americans.
Yes, but disguised as farmers. What happens is that everything is so well organized, they can raise cattle, they can organize hunting trips, they can have sown fields with different crops, and near the mountainous area those alien bases are so disguised that there is no terrestrial technology capable of detecting them, because there are covers made of materials very similar to terrestrial plastic, which prevent the base from being detected, not only from radar readouts, but readouts from extraterrestrial artifacts that can penetrate the ground. These covers don't allow that these machines take readouts. Nevertheless, it's a material that, and I say it in this way so that you understand me, is computerized. It is done in such a way that if there were an extraterrestrial device from another civilization capable of scanning the underground area, it would not detect even a false readout. It is as if it were a material that doesn't allow one to see anything through it, because that detail would bring the attention to the sensors of those artifacts, but rather that computerized plastic transmits a normal geologic readout. That cover even makes volcanic activity up, even underground rivers, with software that one could say is holographic, but it is not really that way, because it is not holographic, but rather it is a program that one can make with electromagnetism.
I see.
But so that you understand me, and for those people who want to deepen their knowledge on the topic, there are elevators in these underground bases that go down to different levels because there are different levels. For example, let's call them level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. The highest level, closest to the surface, is 200 meters below the surface, and from there it goes down.
Is there some exchange with the outer space? I mean, if extraterrestrial ships fly back and forth to enter that place.
No, they send everything directly through teleportation machines to their spaceships that can be orbiting behind the moon.
Ah, then there is no traffic of ships.
They send things from the computers under the ground of this establishment, directly to the establishment, which is in another ship. Your solar system in the last millennium has been visited many times, especially because there is an asteroid belt there that attracts a lot. Many aliens come to study the rocky systems, or the geological systems of the planets, which precisely are rocky planets. There are also ships that have such a special shield, an energy shield, and they end up studying the gas giants very closely. However, so that you get the idea of the powerful storms on those gassy planets, since the astronomers believe that they know so much. And here it has nothing to do with making fun of them, because obviously that example has already been given by Jonathan when he mentioned that the ant can be very perceptive, but the eagle, which is flying in the heights, can see much further. And it's not that the eagle makes fun of the ant is perceiving what it perceives from its height. There are spaceships, I don't say all of them, but most of them have an energy shield, which is an energy field like the one which was detected on the Langer ship when it fell down in the country of the north. Are you following me?
Yes, go on.
It's an energy shield capable to protect the ship even from nuclear weapons.
That's quite powerful.
Yes, it is very powerful. That energy shield doesn't protect a ship if it goes into the atmosphere of a gas giant, due to the tremendous storms that these gassy planets have.
Are we speaking, for example, of Jupiter, when flying into the atmosphere of Jupiter?
Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, so that the common people understand it, because not everybody has the obligation of knowing about physics, chemistry or astronomy. The most devastating tsunami, the most powerful hurricane that reaches the coasts of Florida, in the country of the north, is hardly a light autumn breeze compared to what a storm in the gas giants is. You understand that? It could end up tearing apart a ship of 1 kilometer of size, even having an anti-nuclear energy shield. In less than 20 minutes that shield could disappear and the ship could be shattered to pieces. Then, there are civilizations that are working with what would be called the super energy shield that doesn't have any secret to them, as well as they work with a condensed energy that doesn't allow projectiles or even nuclear weapons to pass through. Many of your science fiction writers have imagined those shields in the ships of the future to such a degree that many of your movies show spaceships with those energy shields. Are you following me?
Yes, I am.
Well, those energy shields have to be increased 100 times so that they could resist those storms, and the propulsion of the ships has to be increased 100 times also. Maybe it would be easy to escape from the gravity of those planets, going around at high velocity, but you already know that.
Yes, I do.
Now, what did they investigate? Why did they go to those gas giants?
Yes, it is a good question.
The answer is the causes. First, Sun 3 is a vast planet for its inhabitants, but it is very small compared to the gas giants. There is so much difference of temperature among the several gases, and they form tornadoes which, as well as on the Earth, can last hours and some even days, and they destroy everything there. These tornadoes can last years or centuries. There are points on the gassy planets that can be detected with your telescopes, and those points are not differences of gases. They are oval points that are formed by big tornadoes in Jupiter, in Saturn, in Uranus or in Neptune. One of your well-known points is already known by the first-year-old students, Jupiter's Great Red Spot.
Yes, it's very well known.
In Saturn, in Uranus, in Neptune, there are also storms of impressive magnitudes, discharges of rays, lightning that would destroy, that would tear apart a ship that didn't have energy protection. An energy shield. The terrestrial rays of your planet would do nothing to these energy shield. Nothing. I believe that the sensors of the ship would perceive it because they are such sensitive sensors, but not due to its power. If one of those ships with those powerful energy shields somehow could land without being noticed on Sun 3 and one of your small hummingbirds, those small birds that are very light, could touch the surface of the ship, the sensor would perceive it. Then we are speaking of a technology with a super energy shield that can resist a storm of Jupiter and with a sensor that can perceive the weight of a hummingbird.
I see, a huge technology, beyond the imaginable technology on this planet at this time for our technicians and scientists.
There is a lot that you all still don't know, and it is much more what I don't know, paradoxically speaking. Because as we said some sessions ago with the dear Jonathan who is present here, when I say at my side, it is as though I sat shoulder to shoulder with me, affirming what I am narrating through his own 10%. Why do I say that? Because it is a lot more what we don't know. We already said it many times. The more knowledge one goes incorporating, the more one realizes what one still has to know, without making comparisons, because you are not children and we are not professors either, but we know what we still don't know. by revealing this technology, by revealing the magnitude. I still believe that many people won't understand what 15 billion light years means in extension. They won't understand it if they can barely understand that a ship can take 40,000 years. With your best technology and arriving to Proxima Centauri, what was there 40,000 years ago in Sun 3? Who inhabited the Earth 40,000 years ago? Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, it's understandable.
How far away is the closest star, and how much closer is it at speeds of 4 light years at superluminous speeds? And we are speaking of billions of years, and there are also civilizations there. And some people end up thinking that we are alone in the universe, because at this time I am embodied in Sun 3 and they think that we are the only beings in the universe.
Yes, I hear that every day.
There is an ambivalence in my concept. If I were you at this moment, and I listened to somebody saying that we are alone in the universe, I would have an ambivalence of feelings because I would not know whether to laugh or cry.
Well, from my point of view, I also have that ambivalence. I don't know whether to laugh or cry when I listen to somebody saying that.
Returning to the original topic, and with it I will conclude the session today. It is necessary to have a lot of respect, because in order to translate these high concepts I transmit to this vessel, it's necessary to have a base. Then when a certain person with a good mind, but with minimum knowledge tries to talk about gravitational effects, or about negative energies, or about abstract planes, which is a topic to be approached, or about the effect of chaos, or about the conceptual networks in the creation, if they don't even know how to write their name, for example, I request respect for that reason, because service begins with respect, but the word respect sometimes is not well understood by other beings that relate the lack of respect to other topics, and the true lack of respect is not keeping the other in mind. That was said by the brother Jonathan. This vessel that kindly channels me, who is Jonathan's 10%, he learns what respect means, day after day, and he still has to learn a lot, and I believe that he still is missing it because he is still learning. Then among all of us, we have to form a chain of tolerance, but the tolerance doesn't have to prevent to point out the mistakes. That is not intolerance. I believe that to point out an error is to be coherent with oneself in the mission of service that one is doing.
To be tolerant but not permissive, there is a difference.
That is the phrase that Jonathan always mentions, because tolerance has to do with dignity, with kindness. Permissiveness sometimes has to do with submission, and the one who is submissive is accomplice of the one who subjects. That it is the great difference. But being tolerant is also being evolutionary, and it has nothing to do with forgiving the error. It has to do with understanding the error, but not stopping to point it out, for that reason that it is evolution. That's the last explanation for the time being. See you later.
Very well, thank you, Morganelle.